We met up with Jeff and Lindsay, what, in Namche?
Yeah.
Yeah, Namche Bazaar. And these guys are also trekking independently. So we kind of wanted to pick their brains about it.
Free jalapenos.
In your experience, how do you guys find trekking independent of guides versus what you've seen of people with guides?
I think overall it's pretty straightforward. I mean, especially Everest Base Camp. There's so many people and there's so many different guide people that are on the trail as you go. Anytime you have a question, you just ask.
I feel like going with a guide kind of takes away from the experience because you have to be with that person who's kind of dictating what your trek is going to be, and so it doesn't let you, like, if you want to stop and enjoy the view or write or do whatever, you can't really do that if you have a guide with you, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and
kinda
really,
takes
we
away
would have
from it.
never even met if we
Yeah.
all had guides, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard
So,
of
I
guides that are like holding people back from like going out after the trek and like stopping at different lunch spots that they want to go, you know? It's like they choose where you go and kind of, you know, dictate what your experience is going to be. And
And
so
how are you guys finding the price comparison? Like what you would have spent on a guide versus what you guys are doing?
there are people spending like $1,500 to do this, whereas we spend like what, $20 a day.
Yeah.
It costs $3 to stay in one of these tea houses a night.
So
So
we were talking to a group that did the REI trek, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we looked it up, and it was like what, $1,300 or $1,400 just for the trek, and then you buy your airfare. You have to pay for your airfare on top of that, right?
yeah.
So I think I got a really screaming deal on a ticket, but I'll be able to do this trek and trip like a whole 4 weeks for like less than $1,600.
And that's including
So,
coming from
That's
the
coming
U.S.
from LAX to Kathmandu and back. That's all my flights, that's all my food, that's all my hotels, that's everything.
Wow.
So I mean, you can substantially reduce your cost if you don't go with a group.
Yeah. And like you guys said, like once you're on the trail, it's all straightforward.
Oh
Like you see all these other trekkers going. I mean, like even if you get lost, you could ask a Sherpa, a porter, someone else's guide.
Yeah.
You have to try very hard to get lost, I think. I mean, I guess we almost got lost. But, I mean, even then, you still run into a town. There's plenty of people to, you know, help you out and get you back on track. So,
Well, and there's also apps, right? You know, Maps.me, that's an amazing, app. I mean, you guys have it. I failed to download it, so that's on me. But I mean, watching what you guys can do with just like route to route, point to point, like that would be vital if you were literally by yourself, just trekking away. So I mean, there's tools. There's definitely tools.
even I have my paper map that I've used. I've always used a paper map for these routes. And I mean, it's kind of back to the basics. It's nicer. I like
Well, yeah,
it.
look at even last night, right? You whipped out the paper map. There's that seasoned trekker who's done this like, what, 3 or 4 times. It was like, this route. And he told us exactly when the incline was going to start.
Yeah.
So, like, no matter what, like, you will meet people on the way, whether you've got technology, a paper map like the old school ways.
And
Just talking to people.
I think the locals are like, they have had so many tourists slaughter the names of their towns that even if you don't know the pronunciation, you'll get to an understanding. Like,
Yeah.
you'll figure it out. It's
Yeah.
not that bad.
I mean, I've even done like the Langtang trek in this region. It's called the Gosaikanda Trail, and it is very new. It is pretty empty because of the earthquake, but so there aren't as many trekkers on it. But so you just rely completely on the locals. But the locals are so friendly that they'll absolutely direct you in the right route. You never need a guide to like handhold you the whole way. You just follow your map, stick to the trail as best you can, and ask for help when you need it.
And what about, acclimatization days, right? Like, what? There's been some horror stories where some guides have pushed their clients too hard, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you guys know some of those stories?
Yeah, we've heard a lot of those stories. I mean, there's like the helicopter scam, that we've heard of, where the guides are pushing their clients so hard that they're actually inducing altitude sickness, and then the only option for them at that point is to take a helicopter back down to either Lukla or Kathmandu. And
That's insane.
it's wild, and then that guide gets a cut of that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if there's some shady guides out there. So
What?
yeah.
Just unreal. And you've got some stories, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend who was, he was to the point, he had AMS to the point where he looked drunk walking to EBC. The video of him is, like, he is wobbling. He clearly needed to go back to a lower altitude. And his guide, you could see in the video, is like, come on, pushing him. But you're supposed to be listening to your own body on these treks, and not somebody else that's telling you where to go. Like, he ended up getting helicoptered out and spent 3 nights in the hospital, like, near death. That's terrible. When you're acclimatizing, you need to be able to listen to your own body and, take the time that you need.
Right.
When I went into this, I haven't booked a flight out, because I'm just like, I want to
Neither
take
did I.
as many days as I need, as many days as my body needs to,
Yeah.
So,
get up
I
there.
booked my flight out, but I gave myself 18 days, and most,
Yeah, you give yourself a solid window.
solid window of of time, so that if I needed those extra days, I could. And also, the passes. There's the 3 passes, side treks that you can do,
Yeah.
and sometimes those passes are closed, sometimes they're open. But without a guide, I can literally, at a moment's notice, within 5 minutes, change my plan and say, oh, I'm not going to go up there because the weather's bad, but I am going to go here.
Without incurring an additional cost.
Without incurring
Which
an
they would
additional cost.
undoubtedly do,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the freedom and flexibility is
Yeah.
really paramount. It's amazing.
Yeah. So you guys love the independent trekking.
Oh, I wouldn't say ever to go with a guide, unless I guess I could understand it if you were like an elderly, like in your 60s, 70s, and you wanted to go trek, and you get the porters and you don't have to carry your own stuff, and like you didn't want to worry about it, sure. But for anybody in their 20s, 30s, 40s that's in good shape, just go on your own.
Yeah.
I personally, even beyond that, I think solo trekking is where it's at. Because you can, you meet so many people along the way. Like, I've met all of you guys on this trek. And, you have that freedom to, it's like an introspective experience when you're on the route. Like, I like to leave early in the morning before other people leave and walk at my own pace, and then I'll find a spot that's above, like a little elevated above the trail, and just sit and write and
We've seen you do that.
yeah, make
along the way.
puppy friends on the way.
Yeah. Yeah, especially this trek. EBC is kind of the mecca for all trekkers, right? So it's like, even today when we were coming from Dingbache, we left fairly early, and you just saw this wave of trekkers over this like field. Honest to God, it looked biblical.
Like the Great Exodus.
Right? So, yeah, really.
Well, and that's the other nice thing about solo trekking is, like, you can say leave a couple hours later and then have the trail yourself. Whereas the guides, it seems like they kind of all leave at the same time. They all kind of like, there's like this mass of people. They just move.
Yeah.
And so, you have that ability to say, I actually want to be more solitary, like on my day, and make it happen.
And then you make, like, tea house friends. Like, you say, it's good to, check in so that way, if something happens, there's somebody who's, like, looking out for you. Like, we've, like, been kind of looking out for each other even though we trek separately. Like, we'll meet up at the tea house later.
And that's even our plan for tomorrow, right? For Dork Shep.
Yeah.
Whoever makes it there first gets 2 rooms. Make sure that we all get a room, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all, and that would not happen with a guide, right?
No.
Not at all. How safe do you guys feel all along this trek? Whether wild animals, sickness, food, what have you.
I feel really safe. This is my second time in Nepal, so I kind of knew what to expect. But even my first time, the people are all time, and they're really, really friendly and wonderful. So I've never felt unsafe trekking or even in Kathmandu.
Yeah, sweet. How about yourself?
I have always felt completely safe in Nepal. And this country is so safe. And trekking alone, as a woman, it is equally, in my opinion, I am just as safe as any man out there. I think people give solo women travelers a little more grief about. It's true. Like
No, you're
I
right.
still. I mean, you saw. I got a message from a family member saying, you know, don't advertise that you're a solo traveler because there are men on the trail who will, you know, attack you. Which is like, you know, I think there's this fear culture around solo women traveling, and I think it's, you know, it's just keeping women back, and I just kind of, that narrative that women are not safe when they're traveling alone, like, I just think that it's, you know, it's not true, and I think that
And you're
women
kind of
should
proving it
travel
wrong,
alone more,
right?
you know, because there's so much to gain from traveling alone. Like, I mean, it's the cultural experience, and you meet new people, and it's like, I think that women should have equal access to those opportunities, just like men do. I was like,
Well, it's all
it
common
really-
sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Keep your head on a swivel.
keep your head on a swivel. Don't put yourself in stupid situations, and
Be
then
a smart-
don't get ripped off. You
Yeah.
know. I mean,
And you know what? If Lindsay can do it, I think it's safe to say that anybody can do it.
You're
Really.
the worst. I mean, just like be a smart traveler. Like, just like women should be smart travelers, men should be smart travelers. I think that, you know,
Yeah,
we all know men and women travelers who have been taken advantage of.
Sure.
And learn from that experience. And I don't know, yeah, learn from other people's experiences so you don't have those same, you know, really bad times in foreign countries.
Yeah.
but all of that to say, traveling in Nepal is extremely safe. And traveling at like solo trekking as a woman
Yeah.
is completely safe. Like, everyone should do it. I agree.
Well, yeah. Thanks for sitting down and talking to us.
For sure, man. For sure.
And just for behind the camera purposes, what are both your last names?
My name is Jeff Gilbert.
Jeff Gilbert,
Lindsay Newton.
Lindsay Newton. And
The most basic white names.
do you guys both give us permission to use you in our video?
No, yes.
Okay.